All right, we're back for more politics, and it's Friday, 3rd of August at 24, and I'm here to say Scotland is doomed, Britain is doomed, the West is doomed. All you can do is vote against it. Mainly that's by voting reform at the moment, even though they're not very good with it as a single issue. You should be voting on one issue. And yeah, I've said before that we live in a very undemocratic society, and most of the West does, especially the first past the post countries, where they've got representative democracy, where you vote for a representative who'll then go to Westminster and give their views, and you also vote for their party. That's who you're really voting for. And when you vote for that party, you're voting for a party hamper of all sorts of things. A lot you never knew was going to happen, like the winter fuel allowance, which I'm not against being cut at all, because it costs 2.2 billion and most pensioners probably don't even need it. You've got to target the ones to give it to. And the whole reason that we're getting an energy crisis anyway is because, as Dale Vince says, just listen to him on it. I think he's my guru on that issue. Yeah, well, for a start, we've got it linked to gas prices. We've got it linked to the international price. So a fossil fuel company makes as much of a profit as, and so do a wind power factory, even though the wind power is maybe a lot cheaper to produce. It all goes into the market and they get the same price. So it's not the people actually, the companies supplying it, that get the big amount. They only get about 5%. It's the creators of the energy. They're the ones that are making massive profits. Right, yeah. And I've made to the Scotland waking up thing. Can you see that? Yeah, you can. I'm going to share a screen now. Wait a minute. Yeah, because there was by-elections last night, and I've said before, as I say, we don't live in a democracy really. In terms of democracy level, I would put it at 10% in Britain, because people out there will be going, no, we don't. We live in a democracy. We get to vote. When are you getting to vote next? 5 years' time. I mean, that's absolutely scandalous. Even through this useless first past the post, it should be every 3 years, like in Australia and New Zealand. 5 years is far too long. That's really dictatorships. Yeah. The first past the post needs to go for proportional representation, but we really need the Swiss type where it's near, what do they call it? Open democracy or direct democracy, where they do referendums constantly, because we should be voting on issues, not on parties or representatives. And we should be voting regularly if we want to. And we're in the situation we are just now. We've only one issue to worry about, not climate change, and for total anarchy, in my opinion. And it's going to be a total disaster for everyone. But the politicians say it's going to be great. So luckily we've got reform now as a protest vote on this thing. Not very good on that, but you're having to do an Overton window shift. So you do that by stop voting SNP, Labour, Greens, Lib Dem, and vote reform. If, in my opinion, if you want a spectrum of British women's rights and LGBTQ rights, plus etc., if you want them to remain in the sort of same spectrum, I could be wrong about that. It might turn out in the future they might even be more left. I'm not very sure. I'm not very confident that will happen. That is happening at the moment. It's just the last hurrah of the politicians who care about that, because we're going to get a new breed of politicians soon. I've already got some already. I don't think British women are going to like their views on women's rights once. I don't know, I could be wrong. But anyway, the only protest thing you can do at the moment is if you've got a council by-election in your area, then you can vote reform to say that this single issue is all that matters, and it's a terrible mistake, worst mistake Britain in the West has ever made, and it's probably going to create anarchy. It's going to be bad for everyone. So, yeah, I was looking. There was 3 elections last night, and we're constantly told that Scotland is not changed like they have down in England, because everywhere is going to end up at London. I mean, Birmingham and Manchester ended up at London without us even really noticing. We didn't even really notice London. London was like 56% old school back in 2011 or whatever. In 2021, it was estimated around 36%. It's probably far, far less now because we've had record numbers of newcomers. So I think that this might be what's happening with all the unrest recently, is that everywhere's changed now. All the towns, including Scotland and Wales and Northern Ireland, the cities, even the villages. And so I'm still waiting for the people, because at some point, I think traditional SNP, Labour, Lib Dem, Green voters are all going to vote reform. And I don't know what they're waiting for, really. I think they're all anxious, especially the women, because the women of Britain traditionally known as being very nice. This issue they've taken the approach: be nice, come, what else? Don't say anything. And any time there's maybe something that turns out bad, you've got to be even more nice. Was that a song that they were singing? Don't look back in anger and all that stuff. It's how we're sort of in this situation in a way, because anywhere can become as desirable as Britain, Australia, New Zealand, America, Canada, anywhere. I mean, Canada, Australia, New Zealand are new countries. So anywhere around the world can become desirable, because the only reason people should be moving about is for warm weather and beautiful place. And when you look at it that way, it's almost the opposite that's happening. So what I'm waiting for is people to wake up, and they're always saying that Scotland will never, well, I would say we will never, basically. The SNP are saying that we'll always be, what's the word for it? We'll always be welcoming, and we're not afraid of what's going to happen in the future once people who identify with Rabbie Burns, are quite a small thing now. And these statues might even get knocked down by then. SNP are saying, no, don't fear that. Keep voting for us. We want more of that. We want to do that faster than the Tories and probably even Labour. Yeah, so I'm looking for clues in the electoral system. The SNP voters are finally waking up. I mean, at the recent election, general election, Reform got about 5% in Scotland. So to me, that's pretty good, because they were all paper candidates. They were all people just put on there. And I totally agree with what they done. Reform done that. You've got to have somebody as a candidate, even if they're just a plank of wood, basically. You've got to have something so that people can vote for it, I see some of the smaller parties, they don't put up things. I know it costs a lot, like if you lose your deposit, it's £500. But my advice to them is, go fund me the £500, and don't campaign locally, or maybe if you want, but the main thing is social media, and maybe have somebody who's got a big following on the internet, like Maya Tusey or others. There's quite a few now, Paul Thorpe, that sort of thing. Yeah, don't know if I can say their names, but yeah, I'm looking for Scotland. So 5% voted. I mean, Alex Salmon saying will never happen in Scotland, or whatever, reform would become popular here, or whatever. I mean, to me, it doesn't make sense. I mean, Alba are worse than SNP on this issue. And he quite rightly, him and the Greens were arguing about a candidate, an Alba candidate in central Glasgow somewhere. The Greens said he was the guy was, because he'd done some tweets, the guy was unacceptable or something like that. Whereas Alba said, are any of your candidates, you know, are they anything but traditional Scots? You know, and he's quite right in that, because if you see a Green Scottish Conference, it looks like a safe space, basically. But in my opinion, both of them are right. So both of them are totally right on what they were saying about that. I mean, I think I saw one or two of the guys' tweets, you know. I mean, for British women, if you think you've seen bad tweets before, you know, you wait until you see some of it from conflicts, from tribal things overseas, you know. I'm just being careful with my words, you know. And of course, these are British issues now, Scottish issues. Politicians will get elected on them and stuff. Yeah, because we had that one recently down in London. It was outside the Bangla embassy or whatever. The East Londoners were very angry about something. And they were calling the president there a dictator. It turns out she's the aunt of one of the Labour cabinet ministers, and she's expected to come to Britain and be given British citizenship. That's what we're waiting for, really, even though she's safe in India at the moment. But yeah, yeah. So I was looking, as I say, at the general election reform. To me, they'd done pretty well in Scotland at 5%, considering they were all paper candidates. They were all planks of wood, really. They were all names. That's all. And usually they came in third or maybe even second. I don't know. I would need to look. But Alba and SNP and that saying it'll never happen here. The traditional Scots are too nice and all that. But personally, I think they're so anxious. I think that's what all the unrest was about recently. You know, it's because people are talking as if these people were looking to loot, or there was some sort of financial gain. No, they were just hysterical and angry. That's what it was. They were totally hysterical and angry. I mean, to me, it surprised me personally what happened. You know, and most of it was town. So I have to say to the people about reform, you know, you need to. It's all that they're bothered about. They're not bothered that they only get 34% of the vote in the general election. And Labour aren't bothered that they get 600,000 votes less than Jeremy Corbyn in 2019, which Keir calls the low point. They're not bothered about it. They're just bothered that they've got 66% of the votes in Westminster. Yeah, so you've got to vote reform at every level. And the only way you'll get a chance is if you have a council by-election, really. And think that about Scotland. And I'll share my screen. Let me see. Yeah, I just want to show you. There was 3 by-elections last night. One in Scotland, near Livingston, as I call it. Right, so here, this guy's got the elections up. And here's the election for this. First of all, I want to do the Scottish one. So what we're looking for is clues that people are voting reform as a protest vote. And here at Armadale, Blackridge, West Lothian. Oh no. Oh, I don't want to. Yeah, we've got. Yeah, we're looking at reform here. 18.9%. So that's fantastic. I think his name was David McLennan, the councillor. I don't think that's the former Tory guy. There was a guy called David McLennan. But anyway, this is an excellent result. There was an independent there. I don't know who. He won it the last time. He had 48% of the vote. He may even have been an SNP guy who defected or something. I don't know. We're never really told these sort of things. But yeah, Labour, so they done well and they won the seat, but they probably expected that to be a solid, safe seat. And then SNP were in there as well. They even increased their vote. Both of them for the independent, probably. But there's reform. That's fantastic in Scotland. And I'm hoping that this is a clue that traditional Scots are finally getting the message that if they want Scotland to be a place where everyone desires to come to because it's a nice place to live, then they're going to have to start voting reform and for an Overton window shift because they're too slack on this single issue. You're going to have to vote on a single issue. Nothing else matters if you're heading for anarchy, you know. So, yeah, there's a Tory get 8.2%. So last time we get 10%. So they were never in it. Good to see the Greens nowhere and Lib Dems. So there you go. It's Reform, SNP Labour for Armadale and Blackridge. Let's see what this guy says about. I think they said something about. No, I can't see it. So this guy, Mark Back, must be a Lib Dem. Funny enough, I can hardly find anything about council by-elections, but the ones I do are quite often Lib Dem, because they're well known for their council becoming councillors and that. So I wonder if he's a Lib Dem guy. Also bad news in the results. I don't know what. Anyway, looking at the other two results, this one I think is Northumberland. There wasn't a Reform person there. I might be getting mixed up. Yeah, this is a Northumberland one. Reform, 15%. So there was an independent last time at 10%. You know, these small places just outside Newcastle and that. So hopefully this is people looking at how Keir handled the situation recently and then realising that they're really going to have to vote, you know, going to have to move away from Labour, SNP, etc. to get the issue. You've got to vote on a single issue. So that's good, you know, because a lot of British women, even men, it would probably make them cry to vote Tory or Reform or whatever, you know, they'd be in tears because that's how emotionally their mindset is to be nice. But I'm telling you, you've got to, if you want Scotland and Britain to stay being nice, it's too late already, actually, it's baked in. But if you want it to stay nice and non-anarchic, then you're going to have to vote Reform. Forget Greens and all that, they're all self-destruction, really. Yeah. So Cramlington, so that was pretty good. This other one, I don't know where 3aug is. There was no Reform there for some reason. Tory won it from Lib Dem, so it's good to see Lib Dem get it. Good to see Labour nowhere near anything. Okay, what else do I want to? So we'll look at the things for this week. So here's coming up 29th of August. There's 3 Hertfordshire, Witchaven, and another one in Witchy. And then is that Harlow as well? I don't know. It doesn't say a date. So it's 4 English ones. They're all currently Conservative, although these councillors, 2 Labour and 2 Conservative. So it's the 2 Labour ones you're looking at, really. You want them to go Reform. You really want the Tories to go Reform as well, but especially left-leaning. In my opinion, if you care about the spectrum of women's values that we currently have, set by the likes of Nicola Sturgeon, Yvette Cooper, that sort of, and JK, that's the sort of spectrum you're wanting it to stay in, then you need to switch from Labour to Reform, basically. So there's 4 next week in all of them. So I'm saying to people who live there, vote Reform. They're not good enough on this issue, Reform, but you're showing you're a protest vote, and it's an Overton window shift you're wanting, and also they're the best on it. Well, they're not really, but they're the best out of the big ones. And if you look at the Greens policy on this single issue in Germany, I mean, that's where we really want to get to, really. From what I've been hearing from their deputy recently, or female co-lead, or whatever you call them. So that looks like the next one's for, so there's 4 next week. Let's see when's the next one in Scotland. This is the only site I can find telling me. Yeah, there's one in North Ayrshire. And then on the 12th of September, apparently SNP couldn't find a candidate. I've never heard that, but it's a Conservative area anyway, of Ireland. Yeah, this is the only page I could find in it. My browser's saying not secure, so they've not got it set up right. It's maybe not HTTPS, with the S being the important bit. But this is the only place I can find this info. Yeah. So that's my message to vote Reform, all levels. Especially if you're lucky enough to have a council by-election, especially if you live in a Labour, Lib Dem, Green, Plaid Cymru, SNP, Alba seat. Yeah. Vote Reform. Okay,